Round one of the Honda Classic in the books. 2012 Honda Classic champion Rory McIlroy. Big trouble at 14. Double bogey. McIlroy has never won on the PGA Tour with an opening round over par, and that's exactly what he did on this Thursday. Conversely, Sergio Garcia playing some great golf. The putter was hot. Every part of his game was hot. And for the 13th time since Garcia's last win on the PGA Tour, Sergio will have a lead following the first, second, or third round. Is this the week Sergio can get back in the winner's circle? The Florida swing is underway from beautiful PGA National. What a test it was today. The sun was shining, but don't be fooled. The bear trap and the course were very difficult. Golf Central starts now.
Golf Central, brought to you by Titleist.
Hi there, welcome to Golf Central. The Florida swing officially underway. Round one of the Honda Classic. Great field, great golf course. We got Brandel Chambly and Trip Eisenhower to break it down for you for the next hour. And let's start with our leader, Sergio Garcia. Been a long time since Sergio has held a trophy on the PGA Tour, 2012 to be exact. But he looked like a champion on this Thursday.
Yeah, the second hole back into the wind. This was an 8-iron and 148 yards, and well, you can't do much better than that. That's a perfect shot by definition. 2 under par, very quickly out of the gates.
Garcia now moves to the 6. He's already 3 under, Brando.
And a really tough stretch of golf. Lots of names were thrown around by none other than Tripp. 5, 6, and 7, whatever you want to call them, they're hard. And Sergio Garcia visited the water off of the tee there. And of course, that is a sight nobody really wants to see. And after splashing out and advancing it forward, he would go on to make a bogey. But after an eagle at the second and a birdie at the third, he was still 2 to the good.
To the 7th now. And this is the club that, Sergio, we talk so much about.
Indeed, the flat stick, and this from 14 feet. Sergio, well, he'd only missed 1 putt inside of 15 feet all day long.
You give him 17 of 18.
And that 1 putt was at the very first hole. But when you make it at the second and you birdie the third, you think, maybe this is my day. He continues on with a great putt at 7 and 8.
To the 14th.
Boy, they have made this hole imminently harder by moving that green over to the right. Used to be over where that left bunker is. Now the water's in play, and that's perilously close to going in the agua. But fortunate break.
Yeah, fortunate break.
Yeah, sometimes that thick rough on the bank is a blessing. And in particular, this time, what could have been a double bogey is a par.
Boy, the putter was sweet to the 15th.
And this is such a very difficult bunker shot because that green sloped straight away. You can see he landed it right where he had to. He made a hard bunker shot look, well, mundane and easy.
Even more impressive, given the fact that he has so much lag on the way down. You have to fully release that. Talking about fully releasing, he released it off the tee here at the 18th, 333 yards, 227, and he is painting the flagstick, as they say, on his second shot here. And that could have very easily have finished much closer to the hole, but a great look right here at 64. And given the conditions, not many people would have guessed that score was out there.
And it is a 65, 5 under. That's his lowest career round in the Honda Classic. And starts following PGA Tour missed cuts. He's been pretty good in the bounce back. He won the Wyndham after missing the cut at the PGA Championship. Finished 3rd at the Players after missing the cut at the Masters. What will happen this week? He did miss the cut just last week at Riviera. Sergio's in the lead. Met the media.
No, I didn't come with a lot of confidence. For sure, you're wondering a little bit because, you know, usually my long game it's up there, and even when I'm not playing great, I still can manage to get around it. But last week I fell out of sorts. I felt like I didn't feel comfortable with the swing. I didn't know what was going on, and I was trying different things, but nothing was really making me feel that comfortable. But you know, I took it quite easy. I didn't really touch any gloves for 4 days, and got here and played Wednesday. Only managed to play 10 holes on the pro-am, but you know, it felt I felt quite good yesterday. The 10 holes I played on high winds too, so I guess that helped.
8 career PGA Tour wins for Sergio Garcia, but once again, the last came all the way back 2012 at the Wyndham. It seems like Garcia's been around for 50 years, yet he's still in his mid-30s. Long way from the kid we saw jumping up and down on the golf course. How has the golf swing held up over the years?
Well, I mean, I love it that it's peculiar, and I love that it's homespun. People always talk about all the lag that he creates in the downswing. I want to take you back to 2001 when he was the best driver in the world, #1 in total driving. This was at the Buick. Of course, he went on to win. This is very early in his career. And of course, you talk about how shallow and how much lag he gets on the downswing. As a matter of fact, he gets so shallow that he has to steepen the club very quickly from there to the ball. But I want you to notice just how well he rotates through the shot. Look at his right foot, how much space is between his right heel and the ground. Now here he is today, and this was a beautiful drive. But folks, he is a long ways away from driving the ball like he did in 2001. As a matter of fact, he's 215th in total driving. And once again, though, if you take a look at this golf swing, he really hasn't changed that much. He gets it up at the top, same spot. He's still much shallower than the plane, and he still has to steepen it. But I want you to notice just how much he is still on his right side at impact compared to 2001. The heel is barely off of the ground on the left. It's well off of the ground on the right. There is much more rotation on the right. A younger Sergio, perhaps, but given the fact that he's 36 years old, some of the struggling, I think of, we talk often about it, is linked to his short game. But when you hear people say all the time that he's a great ball striker. He's 108th in ball striking this year. His ball striking has slipped dramatically over the years, and a big part of the reason why is he has nowhere near the rotation that he used to, but still one of the best players in the world.
We do hear great ball striker. That is obviously something that follows Sergio around. What you rarely hear is great putter, and the numbers certainly would hold up there. On this day, however, his first outright lead after the opening round since the 2008 Players, he was a fantastic putter, 17 of 18 inside 15 feet. How do you get it done?
Well, that's exactly right. I mean, I think with Sergio Garcia, yes, the ball striking has slipped off a little bit. It was excellent before, but, you know, he can afford to slip a little bit. One area he cannot afford to slip in is putting. And if we look at Sergio Garcia a couple of years ago in strokes gained putting, he was in the top 20 in strokes gained putting. He's already down to outside 100. Let's break it down to how he gained strokes from different distances. I want you to look at 0 to 6 feet last year. 207th. That's about last on the PGA Tour. That's down from 11th in 2012. That's the last time he was in the top 20 in strokes gained putting. But I want you to look at how solid he is outside of 20 feet. It's unusual for me to see somebody that's proficient outside of 20 feet, yet very not proficient inside of 6 feet, because from 20 feet you have to be very aggressive. And Sergio, typically you would expect somebody to be tentative. Well, he's not tentative from that distance, but he gets more tentative as the ball gets closer to the hole. Pay attention to how he putts the short putts this week. That's been his undoing the last couple of years. When he's done it at times, when he's putted well all the way through the tournament, he's usually one of those guys right there to deal with in contention on Sunday.
A long way for Sergio to go to get to the finish line for sure. And one more number that is not exactly favoring him heading into the weekend. No first-round leader or co-leader has ever won at PGA National. So Sergio will have to overcome those odds as well. Another guy on the leaderboard that was predicted, that was Rickie Fowler. Many expected Rickie to play well this week at PGA National. He did just that. The putter true at 2 to get him to 1 under. We now move to the 8th.
Yeah, playing alongside Sergio Garcia, so the fans that were out with this group were certainly treated to some great golf and a great flow of the putting stroke. Great release. I don't know of any better on the PGA Tour, reminiscent in a lot of aspects of Jack Nicklaus and Ray Floyd, and here he is at the 10th.
No, I mean, you know, great ball striking, yes, but this Rickie Fowler, unusual to see him hit that chip that way, but how does he respond? In Rickie Fowler type fashion. We're going to watch Rickie Fowler do this a lot. What a great short game. Keeps the scorecard perfect. Unlikely that a bogey-free round would happen in round number 1.
Rickie continues to play good golf to the 18th now. Has this his second from 224?
Yes, 334 yards off the tee, 1 yard in front of Sergio Garcia. And again, just a sublime second shot into this back left hole location. Gave him a fabulous look at a 65.
And the only bogey-free card of any player that teed it up on Thursday at PGA National. Does not make eagle, but he does make birdie. And as I said, he was a chic pick coming in. 3 top 5 finishes in his previous 4 worldwide starts. 4 wins in his last 20 worldwide starts. Rickie Fowler, the arrow is pointing up. He's had a little rest. He's feeling right at home in Florida.
It's been nice to have a bit of time off. I got to spend some time with friends that flew in from California, hung out last weekend, and took the first week kind of just to chill out. Played a lot of golf this past week getting ready, and my game's been very good. Obviously played well at Phoenix and felt like I was in a great position to close that one out, but unfortunately didn't do that. So the game's been good. Mentally and physically, been swinging really well and managing my way around the course really well. Obviously, with winning in Abu Dhabi, so it was nice to be back in contention or back in competition now, and to get off to a good start. Definitely a step in the right direction after Phoenix.
You think about Rickie Fowler, and the first thing that probably pops into my mind is heading into the Players last year, he's named as one of the most overrated players in the game. And then you remember the epic win there. But it's more than just one win at the Players coming off the report that he was overrated. You just look at the numbers, and he really should be included with Rory and Jordan Spieth and Jason Day. No majors, I get it,
yeah.
But 20 starts, 4 wins. How has he improved so much in the last year?
In every way, and it's a shame that some jealous tour pros would change the narrative or supply a paragraph to Wikipedia for Rickie Fowler. If you look at so many players at a comparable age at what Rickie Fowler had done, he was on the trajectory similar to Hall of Fame players, Johnny Miller, Tom Watson, you name it. He had done terrific things, but he's changed his golf swing just enough, and he's what you see right now is an athlete with wonderful technique, but more important than that technique, great belief in that technique, and he rounds things out with a marvelous around the greens and on the green game. Just take a look at some of the shots that he's hit this year, holing out. Here he is at the Tournament of Champions on the 5th hole. And it's just so solid. I actually was talking to Butch Harmon a little bit today and asked him what he liked so well about Rickie Fowler's chipping motion. And he said it's the fact that he hits it so solid, but doesn't have a whole lot of forward shaft lean. He's got enough, a little. But when you see players throw the ball way back and have a ton of forward shaft lean, they introduce the leading edge, and the margin of error gets greater. The closer you get to the bounce, the larger margin of error. Another chip shot there en route to the championship at Abu Dhabi, when at that moment it could have gone either way. And here he is in the final round at the Waste Management Championship, back right. He'd missed the green at the 10th, and he holed it out, and he was very much in that mode today. You could hardly find any fault with what he did today, Tripp.
Well, yeah, except for here. I mean, you think about the 10th hole, such a difficult hole. And to your point, I love players that use the bounce, and there is an excellent illustration of using the bounce. You know, to your advantage, you've got a huge margin for error. But the other thing about Rickie Fowler that I think, yes, no majors. That's the knock. But if you look at Rickie Fowler and his trajectory, I think it's pointing to 2016 being a year where he gets off that and gets a major championship.
And if you're just looking at what he did today, I mean, it's not often you're going to play rounds like that. He was in the top 10 in driving distance. He had 11 of 14 fairways. He had 15 of 18 greens. He was second on the today, I should say, in proximity to the hole, and 3 of 3 around the green, scrambling with a hole out. So today was just about as good as golf gets from a player who really couldn't hardly play. You couldn't hope to see a player play any better over the last almost year.
We sit here just about every Thursday, and we'll talk about the player that's in the lead, and by Sunday might not mention his name again. It happens a lot, 50% of the time. The leader on Thursday never gets his name mentioned on Sunday. One thing I always look for, and you look at Garcia, made 17 of 18 putts. His putter was on fire today. Will that last for the next 3 days? Conversely, you have Rickie Fowler, Tripp. Didn't make anything on his final 10 holes, yet he's sitting here just a stroke out of the lead. Is that something that you got to believe his putter's going to get hot?
Well, yes. As good a putter as Rickie Fowler is, didn't make a putt outside of 10 feet today. In fact, if you look at Rickie Fowler and his putting today, he only made 39 feet of putts completely all day long. That's amazing to shoot that kind of score. That speaks to the ball striking prowess that he had in day number 1. And I will always take the guy that's hitting it the best, and then the putter eventually will catch up. And Rickie, we know, I think that putter is going to join the party.
We'll see. It's always tough to predict on Thursday. this PGA Tour is pretty wacky. We all know that, but we will see what transpires. We know it's going to be a lot of fun. Well, Tiger Woods' latest back procedure, of course, it happened on October 28th of 2015. It was this week. Woods went on social media Tuesday to let the world know he is swinging a golf club again and his rehab is progressing. Coming back against the reports that he's had some problems in his rehab. Well, Tim Roseford, our insider from PGA National, updating the latest on Tiger.
Apparently, Tiger Woods is further along in his recovery than we were led to believe. I was told by a trusted source this afternoon that Woods was actually hitting drivers at the end of last week. Not full speed, but that he was hitting drivers. I reported yesterday in response to Tiger's video through his manager Mark Steinberg that Woods had worked his way up from chipping and putting to a 9-iron. I talked to Steinberg this afternoon and he would not respond to my report, saying only that Tiger gave his update yesterday.
Thank you, Tim. Nothing worse than an injured golfer, and that is exactly what Tiger has been for, well, it's been a long time now. That first microdiscectomy occurred all the way back on March 31st of 2014, and now it just continues to try to get that back right, and we will see here in 2016 when and if Tiger makes his latest return. Still to come, Rory, a very difficult Sunday at Riviera. Could he bounce back in round one of the Honda Classic? And speaking of bounce backs, Phil Mickelson would have to do the same. His last Sunday, a tough one at Pebble. How did Phil bounce back a couple weeks later at Honda Classic? We're back after this.
Golf Central is brought to you by the Titleist Pro V1 and Pro V1X. Make a difference in your game. GolfNow.com. Book tee times 24/7.